Hi there. Whoops, let me get my things. Hello. It's nice to see you all. And it is Sunday, October 12th, which means that we are going to be tackling the 12th prompt in the list of scintillating Inktober prompts. But let's just wait here a second and let's let some folks show up. And let's see who's here. We've got Sleepy Old Owl here. I see that I've convinced Sleepy Old Owl to start a sketchbook. Well, that's good. It's certainly taken some effort on my part to convince the world to use a sketchbook, but I'm glad that it's working, finally. And Rachel watched my Sketchbook School video on James Jean. Yes, that's very old. I've been thinking about maybe going back to that, doing it again. We'll see if I have the time for it. We have Reba from Constantine in Algeria. Nice to see you. And Sylvia, good. Good morning too. Good. So it is a rainy Sunday here. It's been raining for the last few days. It's raining again, so it's quite cozy. But we have Marta here from Brussels and Objetos de Escrita from Lisbon, Deb and Michelle and Gregory Roth. Good. Well, I'm glad you're all here. So let's have a look at the prompt list. So here's the prompt list. We are now on day 12, and the prompt is shredded. The prompt itself isn't shredded, but the prompt is the word shredded. So we talked a bit about this yesterday. Shredded. And people had a few ideas. I've been thinking about some others myself. And, you know, it is interesting when you are faced with a prompt. What is your obligation to the prompt? Because in a way, the prompt is, you could think of it as an illustration assignment. I need to illustrate this particular word and concept, and I need to, make it so that if you look at the picture, you understand the concept better, or whatever it is that illustrators do. Or you can simply see it as like a prompt in the sense of you're sitting in a toboggan, a sled at the top of a mountain, and the prompt gives you a little push. And where you go down the mountain is your journey. And you may end up in a very different place, perhaps, than you and the prompt thought you were going to end up with. So I'm trying to bear that in mind, trying not to be too literal. And I think, again, Inktober for me is a process. It is a process of discovery. I don't want to do the same thing again and again. I see some people are doing that. When I look at their Inktober drawings that they're sharing, they're doing like the same theme, and they're just being clever about how they use like the same characters or the same technique, and they're just doing the different illustrations, the different things. I don't find that interesting enough to want to do that. They may be stretching some other muscles than I am. For me, the prompt is a prompt for exploration, creativity, fun, play, discovery. So, and I also want to end up with interesting drawings. That's the other thing, is if, you take the word shredded and you go, I'm going to draw a piece of shredded paper. It's like, okay. Can you make a really interesting drawing of a piece of shredded paper? You probably can, but are you going to do that? So we talked about that. Bloedeku 29 says, shred the paper you're going to draw on. I thought about that. I thought about doing a drawing and then shredding it and then reassembling it. But I don't want to do that. That's what it's going to come down to. It's clever, but I don't want to do that. I don't know. I think it could be a cool drawing. It could be. I'm not sure. Rachel says she was thinking shredded clothes or a giant paper shredder. Again, paper shredder. I had that thought too, but have you ever looked at a paper shredder? It's like a bucket with some blades on the top. It just didn't interest me that much. So here are the main things that I've thought of. Yesterday, I came away from this session thinking that I was going to draw a man with shredded muscles. So that means like a man who has like big muscles, but he has changed his diet so he has no fat, and you can really see the outline of the muscles. Like, do you remember those things called the Visible Man? It was like a plastic model you would put together, and you could see, like through the skin, you could see the model. I thought about doing that. We talked about shredded guitar, shredding the guitar. I thought about that too. I did do heavy metal. I drew a guy playing a guitar like that just a few days ago, so that was less interesting to me then. Shredding as in skiing, shredding the slope. So that would mean drawing a skier like hunkered down in a skiing position. Could be. Then for about half an hour this morning, I was pretty sure I was going to draw a box of shredded wheat. I love shredded wheat. The box is sort of interesting, and it is interesting to take a product and to do a drawing of that. So that's still a candidate. Carpet Fire is talking about the Banksy painting. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, about the Banksy sold his painting, and the minute that the gavel went down, the painting had a mechanism that shredded it. That was cool, but again, what would I draw? Shredded painting? So I'm not sure. And I'm thinking CW is saying here she loves to see other people's ideas after you're done. Yeah, I think it is interesting to see how does other people. But the question is this an exercise in ideas? To some extent, ideas. Like, oh, that was a clever interpretation. Like I did one a few days ago, starfish, and I drew Marlon Brando, Marlon, the fish Marlon, who's a star, Brando. And it was sort of a clever idea, but I actually kind of really liked doing the drawing. That was what ended up being more. So CW says she is drawing shredded wheat. All right, well, perfect. Then we've got a shredded wheat. So the Hulk's clothing, after he gets angry, yes. I'll cut to the chase. I'm going to draw Freddy Krueger. Is Freddy Krueger, he's, he shreds with the claws, shreds the walls. So he fits within the prompt, but I'm more interested actually in drawing his face because he's really grotesque. And I like the idea of doing a big face again. I haven't drawn a face in a couple days. And also seeing, in some of the things that appealed to me about shredded, the muscle shredded was to see like the striations in the muscles and the tendons and so forth. And Freddy Krueger has that because he has this like deeply burned face. So yes. So I see that Blodeka, am I saying that right? Agrees with me. Carpet Fire likes it. All right, good. So I've got some agreement on this. So I'm going to jump in and do Freddy. I've never drawn Freddy Krueger before. We once did Monsters for Draw With Me like 3 years ago. So yeah. Drew says maybe we could do a reverse shredded drawing. Somebody puts a shredded memory photo in the shredder and gets the original one out. You mean like a drawing of a shredder and there's a memory going in, there's I see a shredded, yeah, that sounds cool. But no, I'm drawing Freddy Krueger. But keep thinking of ideas, keep throwing them. Maybe you'll come up with one that's so great that I say, what am I drawing Freddy Krueger for? Let's immediately start drawing whatever it is you thought of. Let's see. But I'm ready to start getting into Freddy Krueger. And here's another thing I was also thinking is, could he be cute? Could Freddy Krueger be cute? Or, you know, does it have to be like a literal Freddy Krueger? Could it be more? Freddy Krueger he's sort of a cartoon character in his way, right? He's a cartoon character. And I think the question is also like, should he, I think his pose maybe is like this. Or it could be like this. What's cuter? Sorry, I'm just slightly losing my mind. Okay. Cute, yes, like cute horror dolls. Are those like little cute versions, like bobbleheads? Maybe. All right, I think this would probably be easier. Get to see more of it this way. Seems more aggressive, like I'm coming at you, but in a cute way. All right, I think I'm going to do it that way. All right. So, I think this calls for a brush pen. I think the hand is like here. Hat is sort of like a kind of misshapen felt hat. But I'm thinking maybe it's all black. We'll see. Maybe it has texture. I don't know yet. And then the hands are sort of like these sort of, they're like blades attached to the fingers. How are they attached? Are they like little? It's like a glove. That's right. It's a glove, and they're kind of attached to the glove. Okay. Sort of has a bit of an Edward Scissorhands. That was another thought I had, Edward Scissorhands. It's also quite fun to draw, I imagine. I think I've drawn him before. So something like that. Okay. I heard that they're making a new Nightmare on Elm Street, new movie. But it's not going to be with Robert Englund because he's like 80. And he said he's too old to do it now. He also wears a striped sweater. Right, so this is sort of like the very first strokes, as it were, first shreds. I think it's going to need some adjustment, but Is he doing the peace sign? Yes. He's like peace, love, and terror. Oh, he's coming down at you. Like, oh. I don't know. He has good teeth. I usually don't draw teeth, but he's going to be an exception, I think. All right, so this is just the kind of the armature, as it were, because the real trick is going to be getting in and doing all the shredding. This is kind of what he would look like if he hadn't gotten burned, but of course he did. Look, I have to go back and look at this. It's like that. Okay, so his arm would kind of go back more. That feels like it has more, like he's throwing it at you. And I'll get rid of that line. More vicious. And this actually can be, I think I can use this as like a shadow coming down there. So the question is, should I draw? I think maybe I'll draw. I was going to kind of start painting in his things, but I'm looking at a few different photographs, like stills from the movie. And it seems to vary a little bit. His makeup varies a bit, so I feel like I have liberty to kind of do whatever I want with it. His ear is like all scar tissue. So I probably couldn't hear very well. which I don't know if that's ever a factor in the movie. He's like, oh, wait, what? I can't hear you. My ear is completely closed up due to my terrible injuries. Nobody ever feels sorry for him. I mean, he's kind of like a horribly disfigured, disabled man. We shouldn't feel sorry for him, I think. Well, maybe not. He is a psychopath, after all. Is he a psychopath? Or is he just misunderstood? It is kind of a fun face to draw because there's so many little sort of crevices and it's like, in a way, it's like drawing a box of shredded wheat, which was my favorite thing that I originally wanted to draw, but there's like kind of weird overlapping tendons and things like that in his face too. Like shreds of skin. Somebody said we should draw pulled pork. How about pulled pork with shredded lettuce? I said, you go ahead and draw that. I don't think that's really the challenge I've been looking for. But now I am essentially drawing pulled pork and some shredded lettuce in his face. I think I'm just going to make up stuff now. I was kind of looking at the reference, but I think I can figure it out myself. Because part of it, he has like this, his mouth, these muscles, instead of coming down, are just kind of pulled across like rubber bands around his mouth. And you can sort of try and make like the bits of skin that are pulled back from like, almost like little sails that are pulled back from points where they might be pinned. Pulled back here, like that. And then stretch there, so you can see underneath it. Yeah, there's definitely a logic to how these bits of tissue and gristle and so forth are where they're connected and where they go. It's not just a bunch of random lines. So his chin sort of anchored, the jaw is anchored there, I think, and then there's, I don't know, just make some tendons that are going back down there. I think he has some form of lips so that he can express himself. He can talk, of course. Parts of it might be almost like exposed bone, skull bone up here, because there's not really a lot of tendons here. There might be veins, perhaps. It's a little asymmetrical here, but I guess that's okay. He's not a beauty queen. Yeah, there can be just like holes also, and like little windows through to the other side, maybe. What about his neck? His neck has got to be tendons, stretches of skin like that. Maybe here there's some of that kind of muscle fibers coming down. These lines also make it nice, like his kind of accentuate the turning of his head, like the threat as he's coming back. Kind of like his wind up like a pitcher, slash at you. All right. I think I'm ready to do some tone. Get a bit of tone in there. Yeah, so I'm thinking the light is kind of coming probably from this side. Maybe it's even coming from below. No, I don't want it to come too far below because I want to have some shadow here underneath this hat. Okay, let's get this glove in here. I think the glove is like a kind of manky old black glove. Glove fingers, peace sign. And then I think I'll make the hat like much blacker, so there's a separation between the black of the glove. And his sweater is like red and green. So I want to have some stripes that are pretty dark and some stripes that are kind of medium dark. But I don't want that kind of bleeding. Okay, I have to come back and fix that. Should have just done the whole thing first. Let me just do the whole thing. I decided that the arm should come back, right? So yeah, so this is, I'm going to do the whole thing, and then I'm going to come back and put the darker ones in once this dries. And I'm thinking maybe there's some tone here. So he's kind of rising up out of something more scary. Scarier atmosphere. I even kind of like these little things that are accidentally happening here. Little bits of ooze. Okay, let's let that sit for a minute. Is the brush pen ink waterproof? Yeah, absolutely. It's a Pentel Pocket Brush Pen. It is waterproof. So, So, yes, his face is shredded. It's true. Freddy versus Jason. That's Jason from Friday the 13th, right? Is that what it is? Or is it Halloween? Halloween? I don't know. Coming up on Halloween. Certainly, my neighborhood is already heavily decorated with Halloween stuff. People like to get these giant skeletons that are sometimes like taller than their houses, and they stand in their yards and sometimes look over the house. It's kind of creepy. We don't put up any decorations because we just never get any kids coming to our house, because we live in like a little kind of area that is just a few little houses, and there's no small kids in our direct neighborhood, so we don't get many here. But we go around the corner to the rest of the adjoining neighborhood, and we go and watch all the kids in their Halloween decoration, Halloween costumes. But we buy candy, but we don't give it out. We eat it ourselves. That a little dark. It's okay. Still get it. Still tell it's Frederick Krueger. I'm going to add some more tone in here in the pockets of exposed tendons and the like. Oh, hello. Here comes Clover. All right, what about these blades? I feel like they're a little naked here. Well, I guess that's okay. Maybe I'll just put a bit of tone behind them so that they stand out. My intention of making him cute kind of seems to have been a fail. I don't think he's cute. He's kind of ferocious, kind of menacing. But when I think about, like, a few days ago I drew a reckless guy, and he had a little bit of cuteness to him. He was kind of a bit ridiculous. But Freddy, no. He's as cute as he can be. You're very nice. You're very generous. I'm sure he would appreciate that. I'll give him your phone number. Maybe he'll drop by some night to see you. Speaking of nightmares, I had the first nightmares I've had in a long time. I had a couple nights ago. Nothing to do with Freddy Krueger, but I had some really awful nightmares that I also had any kind of rationale that I could see. I had a nightmare in which somebody had brought us some meat to roast. I don't know if we had like people coming over or whatever. They were like, "Oh, here, we brought these," and it was a duck, and it was a rabbit, and it was two other animals, but they were like the full animal, like with fur, everything. And I had them in a big dish, and I was just putting them into the oven. And somebody had said, like, they're ready to go, whatever. I don't know. And I remember the duck was like a long, thin white duck, but it was like a sleeve of feathers that had been put on it, and then its head was sticking out. And then there was this rabbit that was like lying kind of curled up. And then at some point I went to check it, and the rabbit rearranged itself. And it opened its eye. It had a huge eye like Gollum, green eye. Just thinking about it now, sorry. Why am I even telling you this? It was horrible. It was a horrible nightmare. And I don't know why. I mean, I don't know where it came from. Maybe something's telling me to become a vegan. But yeah, just thinking about it now, I can see it vividly. You know what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this slightly diffused so that it looks like it's further away. Kind of soft focus, like soften these lines a bit. So they're less sharp. It's in the background. Right, now I think I'm going to come in with one of these white gel pens. Maybe there's some stuff I can do in here with this. It's still a little wet though. I might be done with this. Marta's analyzing my dream. Let's see what she says. She says, so overall this dream might reflect that you're consciously processing something that has already ended or changed what was once alive in your life. Emotionally, creatively, or relationally has now become something you could learn from, digest, or even use as fuel for growth. Maybe, but I didn't think that I was going to eat any of these animals. I felt really bad for them. It felt really kind of thoughtless, the whole process. I was like, why are we doing this? So I didn't feel like that was like, oh, I'm turning it into something useful. It really didn't feel like that. It felt like wasted. And I didn't want to have anything to do with it. Yours is a much more positive interpretation than mine was. I wasn't even sure if anybody was going to eat these at all besides me. Like, was I really going to bring these things out? They didn't seem like they would even be edible. They hadn't been cleaned. It was like they were just dead animals thrown into the oven. All right, I got to stop. And this thing is not that nice either. I could have just drawn a box of shredded wheat, but no, I had to draw this nightmare instead. I'm a sensitive fellow. Shouldn't expose myself to this stuff. Actually, I like scary things. What do you think? Is he done? Might be. CW, you have a disturbed mind. French rabbit stew. I think now I'm hungry. Yeah. Dream was about something wasted. Yeah, maybe. So think about it. I don't know. I'm not sure that dreams have to necessarily mean anything. Do they have to mean anything? Could they just be? I mean, I think a lot of times they are processing what you've been going through in the day, the memories and thoughts you've had, and they're kind of going through them and deciding whether there's anything worthwhile to keep from them. But that dream had very little to do with anything I had experienced that day, so I don't know. Okay, I think Freddy is done. I think he's fully shredded. Freddy Krueger. I think he's good to go. What time do I start? I don't know. I don't start at any particular time. If you're subscribed to this channel and you click the bell, then YouTube will notify you. But I kind of do it at different times. Done at 8 in the morning and done at 4 in the afternoon. Today I did it at like 9:45. I'm sorry, I don't want to have a schedule. I've thought about scheduling in advance. I don't want to. I want to feel like, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I do it. So, but draw with me, and the Wednesday membership sessions, those are scheduled. 9 o'clock on Thursday, 4 o'clock on Wednesday. Drawing Finn's no more pajamas moment. Finn, torn for short and was built muscular, so using that. Now tell me more, who is Finn? I'd like to know more about that. Web Studio. Well, fantastic. You are prepared then. So maybe you can assess my drawings, because it's been a while since I've seen the movie. But all right, we're done. Thanks for hanging out with me today on a Sunday. I'll be back tomorrow. Let's have a look at what tomorrow's prompt is. We could just talk about that briefly. Tomorrow's prompt is drink. Well, drink. There's a lot of things we could do with drink. But I did want to draw bottles. I did want to draw packages today, the shredded wheat, so maybe I'll draw some bottles. That could be nice, draw like some old bottles with the labels and all that stuff. Could be nice. Yeah, like a bottle of scotch and some, maybe a thing of tonic or whatever, some stuff, yeah. So yes, adventure time. All right, we'll see you tomorrow and we'll get our drink on. I don't know what time. It'll probably be, what time will it be? Let me just have a look tomorrow. I can see if roughly when it might be. It might be early. It might be like 8 a.m. Or it could be later in the afternoon. Tomorrow's Columbus Day, by the way. So maybe you're not working tomorrow, not going to school. I am doing both. Every day is a school day here at Sketchbook School and a work day. But anyway, have a nice Sunday. See you later.